Welcome to the Prosperity Gap, where we discuss the financial gap that exists between where we are and where we should be. It's time to bridge that gap.
Hey, Prosperity Nation, welcome to the show. Very excited to have you back with us today. Today's show is being brought to you by Prosperity Academy Plus. If you're looking to get your finances in order and you're looking for a one-stop shop place to do so, Prosperity Academy Plus has everything you need to get your finances straightened out. So please go to their website and visit them to continue to help sponsor our show. Would also like to ask you to subscribe to our show. Very excited to bring you these new shows every week, give you a chance to meet new people that have finance as their passion, as well as bring new topics to you. Today is another one of those great days where we're bringing to you kind of a new topic. We've talked briefly about it, but today we're going to talk about money and marriage. To do that, I brought with me today Melissa and Murphy from Fit and Funds. Melissa, Murphy, how are you today?
Doing wonderful, my friend. Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be on here and share our experience and challenges, but then victories on how we got to where we are today. So thank you so much, Dave, for having us.
I'm very excited because although we've talked about it individually on this show at times, we've never actually had both sides here. And so it's very exciting for me to actually have the husband, the wife, and to be able to express it from both sides, because unfortunately, I think sometimes when either it's the husband or the wife telling the story independently, we don't necessarily always get all the details.
Correct.
So let's start today. Before we get into the money marriage part, maybe you guys could start, and I don't know, Murphy, Melissa, take your pick. Who shares your story? You guys got an amazing story that really got you to this point in your lives.
Yeah, I'll let Murph start out because it kind of started all with Murph about 6 years ago, a little over 6 years ago. I think the fall of 2013 is when we started our financial journey.
Yeah. So what happened? I think initially came to a point in our lives, and being the man of the household, trying to provide or induce provision into our family. I wasn't doing a good job. Just financially, our marriage was kind of in turmoil and really toxic, and we were falling apart in every which way possible. It was so overwhelming. But I remember specifically, I was in my therapist's office, actually his lounge to be specific, and I'm sitting there trying to kind of stop and think about how we got to the situation, and how I, as a man, didn't provide what we needed to provide for my household. But for some reason, this inclination of Dave Ramsey, I don't know if you guys heard Dave Ramsey before, his name just completely came to my spirit, and I was trying to figure out where it came from and who this man was. I don't know if I heard it from a friend or a family member, what have you, but instantly I just started doing my research on my phone, waiting for my counselor at the time, and just saw a breath of, just a breath of fresh air researching of how he was $1 million in debt and then now was out of debt. And he helped millions and millions upon millions of people get out of debt. And that was the inception and the actual start of our journey at that time. So yeah, that's how it started. Brought it home to Melissa. She was a little skeptical at the time.
Yeah.
Because I was so overly enthusiastic about it. So it was very, very interesting.
Yeah. And you didn't have a small amount of debt, if I understand your story correctly.
That's correct.
I don't think when we first started, we realized how much debt we were really in, because, the whole denial and just not really like being aware of what kind of debt we had. But when we sat down to figure it out, it was just like we had medical bills, IRS bills, credit cards, student loans, lines of credit, car payments, like everything that you can think of, any kind of debt, like we had it.
Yes.
And so, Murph kept saying, like, it's going to take us 5 or 6 years to do this. And I was like, I don't want to hear it. I was still trying to get on board with the whole thing. But, fast forward 6 years later, here we are, and we're 100% debt free. So.
And just to remind you, I know we haven't said the amount, but the amount was $229,000 that we had in debt.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know it was close to $250,000. I didn't know exactly the number, but
remind me, Dave. Please remind me.
And that's not counting home mortgage. That's
no.
Consumer debt, car debt, all of those other various forms of debt that we have.
Yes, sir.
So Melissa, what was your holdback? Was it the fear of giving stuff up? And what was the big issue for you?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So I have always been a spender in the relationship. spend every penny, you know. And so right around the time Murph like brought this home, I had just got a new full-time job. And so my idea was like, well, I'm going to go get a new wardrobe. Like it's a bump up in my salary and, you know, I'm going to go shopping. And little did I know, it was like, well, that extra cash that I was earning was going to go towards, you know, our debt. And the majority of the student loan debt was mine. Like it was like 6 figures of student loan debt. So I had a good solid 5 years of just, you know, being super, super frugal and learning to just like change my ways and learn to save money, you know? So it just took a while. It took some time for me to get on board and just, you know, work.
And Murph, what did it take on your side to make that happen? Obviously you handled the relationship correctly or you wouldn't have been here. I mean, obviously Melissa had to make changes, but had you been a nag and just harassed her every day about the situation, you would have never gotten to this point.
Very true, David. I'm so glad you asked that question. So my background's in sales, and I like to jokingly say I'm a good salesman for sure. But honestly, in all realness, it took a lot of patience in my part to understand her needs and to make sure she had a voice in the actual situation when we were in, which was very, very convoluted, if you will. But I really had to sit down and kind of give her the sense of why we are doing this, because her biggest thing was you know, obviously spending money and everything like that, but her main objective was to give. She loves giving. She has a heart to give to people. But, you know, in a financial situation we were in, we couldn't do that in a way that she wanted. So I kind of had to almost hang that over her head and say, babe, if we did this, you can give whatever you want, because we would have the margin in our financing in order to do that. So it was patiently, you know, intertwining those different terms and actually having her have a voice, but intentionally putting Dave Ramsey's material in front of her and having her listen and read and stuff like that. That really allowed her to kind of open up more and have a conversation, the mutual agreement on our goal in the future. So our why together was what allowed her to finally step on board after a while.
Yeah.
Well, so were there times that it was confrontational? Were there times you were super angry about this?
Absolutely, 100%. You know, in the beginning, it took a while for me to adjust, and I was just like, why are we doing this? But, you know, I began to see that the plan was actually working. And like when we would pay off one debt, we would go celebrate and have a nice dinner. And then, you know, that would kind of, we'd work towards that milestone, you know? And so, but to kind of go back on the question, it's exhausting. I mean, there were many days where I was putting in overtime, 10, 12-hour days, and I was just exhausted. And I come home and just cry and just like wish that it was over. We could go take a vacation, and just like, it just sucked, you know, at moments. It was just really hard to put it like bluntly, yes. But there were many, many hard days, but you know, Murph would always remind me, like, this is only temporary. Like, just think what our life is going to be like when we're done with paying off debt and starting to build wealth and give back and give in a way that we've always dreamed of. So yes. It's been totally worth the 5-year journey for sure.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, it sounds like Murph was your rock to some level in pulling through this. Murph, who did you have that was helping you keep going? I mean, again, we haven't got into all the details of the marriage, and I'd like to talk about some of that, but what kept you pushing forward when you were dealing with this opposition? Yes.
So I think us guys, we're pretty logical for sure. When I see something that I don't know, I'm a visceral learner in regards to any kind of information. I love growing and learning as an individual, because that's how you grow without being, you know, without being stagnant in your life. But I think what came a hold to me was that I grew up in a household that was very, very, finances and money was scarce. And that was, you know, I didn't want to get to that point. So that was the kind of common thread, or more so the common driver of me not going back to that and actually having information that I actually have to allow us to become financially free and debt free. You know, I'm one person, when I get a hold of information that actually has a resolution, I'm all for it. I'm a logical thinker. As I said earlier, us men, you know, when we find an answer to something, we want to just go full force. I didn't have a mentor, anyone who kept like kind of helping me throughout this journey to keep me pushing and driving. It was just a thing that I had, that I knew and believed in it. So I think, you know, someone told me that whatever you believe in, truly believe in, you then start starts becoming your actions in your life. And that, when I hold on to that belief level, that belief system, that I knew it was going to work, there's nothing stopping me. So
That's really cool. What happened in your relationship during this time? Did you feel like you were closer, farther away, Melissa?
Yeah, it's gonna make me emotional, but you know, when we first started, like our marriage was on the rocks. Like we were really considering like, you know, splitting ways and just like, you know, ending things. But I think that, you know, when you commit to your finances, especially together as a couple, like not only does it change like your finances, but it really starts to change you as a person. And I think throughout the journey, you know, we both, Murph had said, been in counseling and therapy, you know, individually, like really working on things, but also like together, you know. And so I think that this past like, you know, several years has just like changed so many other areas of our life that it's really brought a lot of healing and restoration to us, but also to our marriage too. So it's just, I mean, it's completely life-changing for us.
yes,
So
absolutely.
Murphy, any additional comments you want to add to that?
Yeah, just everything that you're saying. It's, you know, I think it touches. It's funny because, as I said earlier, when I knew I had my belief system was changed, I didn't know it was going to affect so many other areas of our life. You know, spiritually, emotionally, financially, obviously, just all these things. It just encompassed something that was real, and it allows you to get closer, obviously, and it allowed us to now culminate something that then we can share to others. And that part about it, we had no idea even existed because we were focusing on our debt. But now all of a sudden we've compounded all this knowledge that allows us to now give back. And it's funny because you wanted to give monetarily speaking, but we're now giving in a way that's way beyond that. So that's a part that gives me chills just thinking about that aspect of it. So.
Thank you for sharing that part of your lives. I know it's very difficult many times to talk about these personal things, but I also realize how impactful it can be to other people because other people are going through these same situations. To me, one of the greatest things about what happened in your life and what I see happen in so many others is now it gives us a common goal to work towards. So many times in marriages, it's so easy. I've got 6 kids. So it's very easy for my wife and I to get on completely opposite ends of the spectrum. So we almost need things to bring us back together, to get us working together and trying to push our lives forward together. Because if not, she's being a mom, I'm being a business owner, and it just seems like we never connect.
That's true. True. Well said, Dave. Well said.
I see a great shirt you're wearing there. God is dope. Talk about the relationship God's played in this process for you guys.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was mentioning the story, how everything came about, I think that's who sent me that message of Dave Ramsey. I promise. It's just like, because the spiritual aspect in which we've grown with God has come up and showed up so many times in this whole journey. And when I say that, we have a miracle book that we keep since the day one of our journey. And I cannot tell you how many checks just came in the mail spontaneously from past jobs, from people who owed us money. Just all these things came about. And it was interesting how just God showed up in so many ways that I can't even express the gratitude we have, because, and also we're faithful tithers. We tithe, the first, the 10% of our income that comes in. And that really was a foundation of us having a momentum and then keeping the right path to be consistent along this journey.
I talk about that a lot of times in my show. I talk about it when I'm coaching people or talking to them, the importance of that giving. And whether it's 10%, I'm a 10% giver as well. But it's amazing how it changes the mind. It really doesn't become about money. It becomes about the reality that there's more than enough. I can give some away and I can still have all the things that I need and I can really move forward. It's just amazing how it really changes people's mindset.
Agree.
So you guys do a lot of coaching. You do a lot of presentations together. My assumption is that you're running into couples all the time, just like you. There's a spender and there's a saver. Melissa, would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. No, we've been actually hosting a marriage class, a financial class at our church recently, and we've had a couple couples, reach out to us and share their situation. But yeah, it's usually one is a spender, one is the saver. Kind of rare that it's, saver. But I think that this journey has kind of taught me to be more of a saver. And now I'm I don't actually, we were at the store last night and I wanted something and I'm like, do I want this or do I need this? And it was more of a want. So I'm I have that question now. Before it was whatever, I'll just put it on my credit card and forget about it.
Oh man,
but,
yes.
So yeah, definitely there's a lot of couples out there that, have have very similarities, and we can be like, well, we've been there, you know, like there's hope.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
Talk about this experience for you in teaching these classes. So it's something you're doing, you're helping other people change their lives. What is the biggest thing you feel like you're offering these people that you're able to communicate with and share your knowledge with?
Of course, good question. So first of all, it's very riveting, for sure. And the humility that we actually get to insert, and because our story is real. It's not something that we're just talking because of knowledge that we've obtained. We actually lived this. And for us to stand in front of people in a humble way, not like throwing things in people's throats, so you got to do this and that. No, how we're sitting there, standing there, it makes us more credible. And then it makes us more, people can resonate with our stories. We have many people come up to say, oh my God, I remember this time you said something that touched me, blah, blah, blah. It's one of those things that it makes us feel so grateful that we are able to sit or stand in front of these people and really, talk about a situation that occurred in our journey. Then someone else will actually have hope that they can come out of it too. Yeah. So that's what I felt individually. It's almost like a service, a ministry that we're doing that allows us to really help people dig out of a hole that they may got themselves into because we actually lived it. So.
Yeah, and also just to add to that, I think that in these classes, we've kind of designed our curriculum to like give them the tools, right? Mm-hmm. So give them the resources, give them the tools that they can go home and they can actually plug in the numbers and do the steps and ultimately like just have that financial freedom for their household. That's the most exciting part about it is like, this is great. Like we did this, you can do it, but to see them put that in action and like change their family tree, I mean, that is like, I just feel so grateful for that, so it's been really, really cool.
Yeah.
So
one of the other words you both mentioned was the word hope. Do you find that a lot of people, by the time they come to your class, that they've lost hope financially?
We can see it on some of their faces.
And they're not gonna say that out loud, but we can definitely because we've had those facial expressions, we've had those, there's different kind of vernacular that people use when they're speaking or asking questions that we know they're experiencing that hopelessness. But yeah, so it's just imagine you being in a room, seeing people who've lived something, you're hopeless, and then they say something that touches you, and all of a sudden that desire is now induced inside of you that makes you feel like, wow, I can do this. Mm-hmm. That's the part that is the epitome of just greatness. So, yeah.
It's amazing how quickly once someone gets hope, they can start making progress. They feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I can do this. I can move forward. And I think it's absolutely super what you guys are doing and your ability to not only change the current lifestyle, but you mentioned it, Melissa, you're changing generations. Mm-hmm. You're truly creating a legacy for these people. So let's talk a little bit more about the marriage situation. So you've got couples that are working together, and maybe you can talk about even your own life. How do you open the communication to where you can start making change? Obviously, you were different people, and at some point you had to start communicating. What did that look like for you guys?
I think it was kind of like going back to what Murph said earlier about figuring out your why. Mm-hmm. Why do you want to be debt free, mm-hmm. or why do you want to retire early, or why do you want to build wealth or give like no one else, So it's that kind of like is probably a good starting point, but also, for us, we would do like weekly budget meetings. And so that was kind of like prior to those budget meetings, like I would write out a list of like stuff that I wanted or needed. And I would bring that list to the meeting and show Murph and be like, okay, this is what I want. This is, this is more of needs. And so we would kind of sort through that. And I think in the beginnings of that, we would have some arguments and bouts over, our budget. But once we started continuing to do it, after the first 6 months, it was getting easier and easier. And then I started to see, okay, this plan is actually working. Like, in a few years, like we can do all these things that I want to do. And this isn't necessarily a want, but more of an,
To me, it seems like really what you're doing was creating time for it. Murph, is that right? That you were setting aside time so you could deal with it?
Yes, for sure. Agreeing on the time to actually sit down. And I was going to add what you were saying, I think I said earlier too, give each other a voice, because we both have authority when we come in and sit down. Don't think that, one person is going to demand and say, oh, we're doing this and that, and not have the other person have a voice, because that's not going to work, obviously. like that almost never works for sure. You have to have a mutual agreement and a mutual foundation to allow each other openness and transparency on what can we do, what is our why, how can we, connect those two in order for us to move forward and build momentum. So, yeah.
I think you're exactly right. As you really look at the situation, being open with one another, being able to share, and realizing it's not a one size fits all, that there's got to be some give and take, some negotiation. And I guess what I've loved about what I see with you guys is that obviously there was a lot of respect during that process of the other person, or you could have never gotten here. If you would have come in and just said, it's my way or the highway, sorry, this is the way it's going to be, my assumption is I would be talking to one of you right now and not both of you.
Or neither of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just cool how you guys made the time and the effort to respect each other. One of the other things that I think we do need to talk about, especially in a marriage relationship, is fighting over money is one of the biggest issues that happens out there. It's one of the biggest causes of divorce. Any thoughts that either of you could share to help couples that are in this situation to stop fighting so much about what's going on?
I would say that don't let your past supersede what your future, because I think a lot of people, we brought a lot of baggage from our past, financially, spiritually, emotionally, and we what helped us was that we let that stop there and actually start developing a new future, and we constructed a new potential of a future, and that's actually being giving, building wealth, having our children when we have them. Not be exposed to what we were exposed earlier. So really accepting each other's flaws, but don't let your past supersede where you want to go in your future. So that's one advice I should say. Anything else?
Yeah. Just, I would say, what kind of like helped our money fights kind of calm down was like having a plan, just having a plan for our money and like a goal that we are going after. So like we were talking about earlier, the common goal, we can more focus on like less fighting about it and more on like, let's work together towards this common goal, even if it's like, let's pay off this credit card and then let's go celebrate or something like that, so that mutual agreement towards that common goal, I think really can help with money fights.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there were times that one of you disappointed the other one, that there were times that things didn't work out the way they should have. I know it's happened in my life, and not so much with money, but my wife and I one day set a goal that we were going to get healthier so we could go on a cruise together. Well, guess what? My wife did an amazing job and I completely blew it. And I think to this day, she's still a little frustrated. I mean, we've gone on multiple other cruises, but I think she's still frustrated that I failed her, and I'm frustrated. I should have been better than that. I should have stuck to the goals and the commitments we had. And I think that's one of the things too, is that we've got to realize if there are going to be failures, that it's okay. We can pick up from those, we can move forward and still get towards our goals. I mean, you guys are such a prime example. Yeah, it's 5 or 6 years, but when you consider it in a 70 or 80 year lifetime, that's really not that much.
It really isn't. And I wanted to add on, well, you just brought something in life that I have to say now, because as you know, I was the one that brought the plan to get out of debt, to the plate. But one thing that I've noticed is that, how we have budget meetings, it was commitment, but I still broke those commitments. And when I say break, I still spent money that she didn't know at all. I'll do little fast food runs here and there or get treats. And that was distrusting because we agreed on a certain amount that we were allocated for, but I still had times that I broke and I failed. But she also was very forgiving. But yes, so you're right. There's going to be times that you're going to fail, but you just make sure you pick yourself up, communicate about it, and then move forward. So yes, I agree.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's a topic I want to talk about too, is that the sneaking, the hiding that obviously happens out there in relationships, not only with money, but many other things, unfortunately. Murph, how's the best way, or Melissa, I guess I'll let either of you answer this, to make sure that's coming to light? Maybe I did it and I shouldn't have, but how do I then make it come to light so we can have a discussion about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just like keeping that ongoing dialogue open, whether it's through text messages or conversations about our finances. Like Murph and I share the Every Dollar app, so we're constantly, logging our transactions into that thing. So we both can see it, but also we're, if we spend something from another category that we weren't planning, we'll shoot each other like a text message. Or I think at Christmas, there was something that I bought, out of the ordinary for myself from Murphy's Christmas fund. So I had to like own up to that. you know, we worked it out. Like,
We
he
did.
wasn't upset or anything, but
Yeah.
it's just, you know, like, it's not perfect. It's still not perfect. It never will be perfect. But as long as you can just kind of own your mistakes and like accept each other for where you're at and move forward, you know?
Yeah, and most of all, be honest with yourself, because you have to be honest with yourself. It's almost like, okay, if I don't love myself, how am I going to love someone else? You almost have to be honest with myself in order to be trustworthy to a plan or something or an agreement that allows you to grow in whatever term is possible. But yeah, for me, I had to be honest with myself and say, why did I just do that? And come to grasp on where I was and then go forward. I mentioned earlier, we see a counselors on a monthly and sometimes bi-monthly basis, and it allows us to grow. And that's one aspect that helped us kind of become who we are today. So.
I believe a lot of it's got to deal with the response too. As a father of 6 kids, obviously I've heard everything. In fact, I talk about it many times. I hear so many problems that seem to go on in their life. And I get somewhat frustrated at times because I think I never had those problems. Well, I really did, but my generation, we never talked about it. And my kids feel very comfortable in sharing their story because we are generally pretty level-headed about it. And I think that's critical in a relationship too, that it's like, yeah, or if maybe you screwed up, but that's okay. Thanks for coming and telling me. Let's work through this. Let's move forward. Now all of a sudden it's a safe environment that if it happens again, or if there's problems, or to prevent it from happening, we can have an open dialogue and truly work together with it.
So true. Well said. Yeah.
You guys have brought up a couple of times here the fact that you're using counseling in your own marriage and in your own life. Talk a little bit about how that's helped your relationship, Melissa.
Yeah, tremendously. I think it's like, I kind of like to think of it as like, you know, a car, like when a car needs a tune up, like, or maintenance, you know, it's nothing to be ashamed of. That, you know, there's always issues that come up in our marriage and things that we need to work on individually and then together as a couple. So, and, you know, as life goes on, there's always new things that come up. You know, if you hit a bump in the road, like, we've been able to reach out and like seek professional help for that, you know, Christian counseling, and they've always kind of shed new light without any judgment, and, you know, just kind of helped us work through that and given us hope that, you know, we're not alone, and like other people struggle with this too, and like we can work through it and get past it. So yeah. I think it's definitely a great investment by far.
Yeah, you said investment, you know, also, we know investments then generate dividends, and that's something that really happens. The more you invest in something in a marriage, so many dividends will come out of it for sure. So
Murph, talk a little bit about on your side. I go to counseling. I think it's great. I enjoy my opportunity of going there. My wife and I have done it for the last 2 or 3 years pretty actively. But I also know that when I talk to other men, especially, that they think for some reason we're too good for that we don't need counseling. We're too macho. Unfortunately, not all of them think that, but I've heard that many times. How have you felt in your own life that it's helped you become a better person, a better husband to your wife?
Very, very good question. It's kind of funny because she was doing counseling before I was. I didn't think I needed it, as you just said right now. I was like, oh, I'm good, right? I'm good. But the growth in the personal growth that she experienced, and I've seen it because I witnessed it because we're together every day. I saw the growth that she was actually having every day. I want that too. I don't want to be left behind. You know, if this whole challenge or manly game comes out, and then all of a sudden I then put myself in a situation, allow myself to now sit in front of someone and be transparent, which is very hard for me because I don't have that many close guy friends that I can do that with. But, you know, sitting in front of someone and then really voicing my concerns or issues that I had, my goodness, it's imperative now that I have to do that. Because now when I'm in there, I'm so open and willing to say whatever that has helped me grow to the man I am today. You know, I'm not perfect by any means, but I'm so way better than I was 5-10 years ago. But I think as a man, let's stop being hard-headed and really let down our guard. And that, because if we do that, it's going to pay off so much, not only to the people around us, but most of all, the most important people that we sit and see every single day, our children, our wives, or vice versa. So it's done so many things that I can't even explain to you. So.
It's such an amazing comment. That's that it's an investment. And to me, it really is. I know I've seen it in my life. I've become a much better husband. I've become a much better father. I know myself better. I think I've become a better boss. I became better at relationships with other people. It's amazing what it's done to really help me. And you guys are such great testimonies of what it can do in a marriage. It's so cool for me to sit and watch you two and to watch some of your videos and things that you do together. Very exciting to see how one you've really become in your marriage. So how do you keep that going? I mean, in a marriage, it's very easy to have ups and downs and get very close and get pulled far away. What do you guys do in your own marriage that you feel really holds you together?
Oh my goodness. We are interdependent for sure. When I say that, we do personal growth things every day behind the scene. We don't really force that on our stories or any kind of social media, but we do devotions every day, individually. We read a lot. We listen to podcasts a lot. Just the things that we are doing on the, outside of social media that we're actually helping us then meet in the middle. And we always have this constant goal to help develop our relationship with God. And we're constantly going up that ladder that then will potentially meet indefinitely when that time comes. But we're always working on each other.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah. We try to do weekly date nights.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that's
always
true.
happen, but date nights, and then we pray together a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So in the mornings on the way to work, we'll pray together, or at night before we go to bed, or just different times throughout the day if something comes up. I think that's been really helpful.
Absolutely.
And kind of
Absolutely.
knowing that we're on the same team and we're asking God for help. That's what we need.
Yes.
So
When you include him in the middle of it, it's amazing how much better it can get.
Absolutely.
You put all three. So what's the perfect date night for you, Melissa? You talk about going on weekly dates. What's a great date night for you and Murph to go do?
Well, I since our debt-free journey, I'm totally fine with just cooking dinner at home and watching a movie and relaxing, and or sometimes we like to go out to dinner and kind of walk around and see the different shops.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing too crazy or big, but just to kind of spend time with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Murph, what about you? Go ahead.
Oh man, I can say the same. It's funny because we live down the street from a really popular area, and we go down there and take walks. But honestly, sitting here cooking at home, I can say the same thing and watching a movie. It's the funniest thing because we always say, "Oh, once we're debt free, we're going to be doing this and that and that." But no, we feel content and happy at home cooking, watching something, or just talking or what have you. It's so amazing how this life has changed us. Our paradigm has shifted in an immense way, but we're pretty content. But we're still going to, we have a Hawaii trip coming up. Yeah. We're going to splurge because we can, but we're so easygoing, if you will. So,
one of the things that I think you guys exemplify so well is that you can change and still be sincerely happy. That it's not about stuff. It's not about things. I'm not saying that for a period of time that doesn't bring a lot of happiness, but we can truly change and reduce our budgets and still be truly happy. And many times, even happier because we don't have that burden that we're carrying with us on a daily basis. So what's next for you guys? Obviously, you've changed your own life. You guys are out there trying to change the life of many other people. What does it look like 5 years from now for you guys?
Of course, we want to be millionaires by the time, in less than 10 years. That is the major goal we have for sure, be financially independent, because we have goals to wake up every morning and really do something that we truly love to do, and that's helping people and whatnot. But, we have kids in the future, hopefully, this year. So that's something that we're aiming for. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just continue to build wealth and, just do what we love and help other people change their lives and travel. I think we're doing a little bit of traveling the first half of this year. We're
a lot of traveling.
And then hopefully, we'll have a little baby on board soon. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, a lot of exciting things ahead. But
you guys have done a great job of creating balance. You've done a great job of getting your lives organized. You're such an inspiration, not only to me, but to our listeners, to be able to see someone that's come so far in relatively a short period of time, and then to take those blessings and say, we're going to give them back, and we're going to help other people, and we're going to change other people's lives for generations to come. So as we finish up here, I'm going to give each of you a chance to just share one last thing, and I'll start with you if you don't mind, Melissa. One last thing to help those couples that are really struggling out there to make a determination to stick it out and start working on their finances.
Yeah, I would just say that we are meant to live free. So like, however that looks to you, you are meant to be free, you know, free of bondage, free of financially burdened debt, free of, you know, anxiety or whatever you struggle with. So I just want to say that there is hope to be able to experience that freedom. And especially, you know, experiencing the financial freedom. It's like, there is hope to turn things around. Like, you will have to work and you will have to put in some effort, but if you're willing to do that, it's so worth it. It's so entirely worth it that you can have that life, that you are free. You'll always have problems and there will always be issues, but you can have the freedom or the life that you've always dreamt of. So
and for me, I'll add, it's kind of hard to follow, but I'll definitely do my best. But I would say that you know, it doesn't end here, it only starts here. Once you change your paradigm, my goodness, the world is completely open to you. It's limitless for sure, but you have to change your mindset and make a choice to believe something different. Challenge your belief system, choose a plan, choose something that allows you to now get to a point of progressing towards your ultimate goal. And whatever that is, financial freedom, weight loss, happy marriage, whatever that is, make sure you have to change your belief system in order to now choose to do something different. So.
Such great advice. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing. For those that want to get in contact with you, want to follow, I know you've got tons of YouTube videos out there. You've got a blog, all kinds of good information. What's the best way for them to connect with you guys?
Yeah, so www.fitandfunds, that's FITNFUNDS.com. That's our website. Then we have all the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's all at Fit and Funds, FITNFUNDS.
Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you
for having us.
Today's show has been brought to you by Prosperity Academy Plus. Please take the opportunity to go to their website, prosperityacademyplus.com, and sign up for your membership so that you can get all the tools you need to achieve financial success. You have been listening to the Prosperity Gap. This is the show where we help you bridge that gap between the life you're currently living and the one you should be.